This Sports Wrap.
He left Red Bull, he went to Renault, he's gone to McLaren, he's going to get the victory now. It's McLaren and Ricciardo that win the Italian Grand Prix.
Yeah, boy.
Wow. Well done,
It was
Dan.
a pure elation from Daniel Ricciardo. What do you make of that? Why is it taking him so long to find his mojo? Did anyone see that coming?
Oh, it's so brilliant, isn't it? What a few just hours for Australian sport. We had an F1 win, an F2 win, a Wallabies win after the siren, two Grand Slam champions.
Yes.
It was just an unbelievable few hours for Aussies in sport. But Daniel Ricciardo, everyone's favourite smile in sport, and he did the shoey afterwards. But It was his maiden podium for McLaren. It was his first one since Monaco in 2018, eighth overall win in his F1 career, and you could just hear the emotion. And he spoke afterwards about the fact he hasn't seen his parents for over a year. At times he just wanted a cuddle from his mum. So to get this win and to do it 1-2 with teammate Lando Norris from McLaren as well made it all the more special.
It happened in qualifying and you went, this is incredible. He's turned, all of a sudden the McLarens are flying. What happened?
Yeah, I mean, everything just started to click for him, didn't it? And it was just wonderful to see, but it must also be spoken about that even though he was already doing really, really well, as you said, in qualifying, the two title contenders also crashed out during this race. So Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen, who are always up and amongst it, their fierce rivalry just took another step in this one.
Verstappen's dangerous. I put it to you, he's always been dangerous. He used to get away with it because it was considered youthful. There's always a bit of recklessness attached. But I think he's a worry. I think his blind desire, he thinks he's always got the best line, he's always got the right. It will end up possibly in a tragedy one day.
We'll have a listen to the audio of the crash.
It's wheel to wheel, Hamilton and Verstappen, and this time Verstappen and Hamilton have crashed out. Two championship protagonists have taken each other out of the Italian Grand Prix.
Now, Max Verstappen has been handed a 3-place penalty for the Russian GP for causing the collision, even though he claims that Hamilton didn't leave enough space. This is really getting nasty,
He's
Nikki,
never
because
wrong.
they barely checked on each other straight after the crash. But thank goodness for the halo. It was controversial at the time. The addition to the cars, but Hamilton has basically come out and said that saved it from being much nastier. He's got a bit of a sore neck and a headache, called it a very scary situation. Today, someone must have been looking down, watching over me. It's the first time in 63 races that Hamilton hasn't finished.
Well, he's lucky to be alive, as you said, and something needs to be done. Verstappen thinks he can do what he wants.
Quick shout as well to 20-year-old Melburnian Oscar Piastri.
And F2.
Oh,
well done.
So we had two Aussie champions.
Unbelievable.
So let's move on to the tennis, shall we? Because Novak Djokovic earlier today beaten, so he stays on 20 Grand Slam titles with Nadal and Federer, which makes it incredibly exciting for the Australian Open.
Can I just say it was a popular loss,
Well,
a very popular loss. They were booing him at one stage in that final.
funny though, because Daniel Medvedev is pretty much the only bloke that's less popular in that way. And he's been absolutely smashed throughout this and said early in the tournament, I feed off you, I feed off your booze. Keep coming at me. I'll win this thing because of your booze and your, the way that you go. So Daniel Medvedev wins his maiden Grand Slam, even though he had a few nervous moments, several double fault serving for the match, but there was tears from Djokovic as Medvedev won 6-4, 6-4, 6-4. It means that Djokovic fails to achieve the calendar Grand Slam. The last man was Rod Laver in 1969. Have a listen to Medvedev as he won.
I think it's the first time I'm so nervous saying my speech. I mean, first of all, I want to say sorry for you fans and Novak, because I mean, we all know what he was going for today, what you accomplished this year and throughout your career. I never said this to anybody, but I'll say it right now. For me, you are the greatest tennis player in the history.
Please.
Well, seems a bit over the top, I would have thought, but there you go. And he may well end up with the most titles, he probably will, but you got to remember, the other two were taking him off each other for 15 years.
Of course, yeah, that's right.
So, Not a fair fight, I would have said.
Daniel Medvedev, I read a stat somewhere, and I hope I get this right, Mickey, that Daniel Medvedev and Dominic Thiem are the only two men born after the year 1989 to have won a Grand Slam in this era. Now, that puts you at 32. So that's pretty incredible how much it's been dominated by those three blokes. Speaking of domination, though, let's talk about Dylan Alcott. The Aussie has completed what Novak Djokovic couldn't, which is the Golden Slam, which includes, of course, gold in Tokyo, his 15th Grand Slam title overall. He says he's not sure if he'll be back at Flushing Meadows, but he's made quite the impression because, Mickey, even during the US Open men's singles final, they cut to him in a crowd shot and he was chugging a beer out of his trophy and got the biggest cheer. So we've gone from the shoey of Ricardo to the cup chug.
We'll drink out of anything. We're Australian. Just try us on.
Yeah, he was very emotional, Mickey. I think it's worth a listen.
Can't believe I just won the Golden Slam. I used to hate myself so much. I hated my disability. I didn't even want to be here anymore. And I found tennis and it changed and saved my life. And now I've become the only male ever in any form of tennis, I think, to win the Golden Slam, which is pretty cool.
Well done, mate.
Not bad, highly emotional. And we've got to go to a break, but just quickly, the Women's Open was a boil over too, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was two teenagers, 18-year-old Emma Raducanu, first British woman in 44 years to win a tennis major, first qualifier to win a Grand Slam, and did so without dropping a set, Mickey. She absolutely smashed it. And received congratulations from the Queen as well. But congratulations as well to Sammy Sosa, who won in the doubles 10 years after beating Serena Williams. So 2 Aussie Grand Slams.
Britain has lost their minds, their collective minds. They have gone bonkers overnight. They've been waiting for this. We've got to go for a break. Can you hang around?
Absolutely.
More ordinarily after this. You're listening to Malloy on Triple M. It is Malloy on Triple M. We are joined from Dubai, quarantine. It's Nerily Meadows on the show.
So I must have misheard you in the first break. I just need you to clarify. I thought I heard you said Wallabies won something, but I'm presuming you misspoke. Is that true? What happened?
The Wallabies won one. We beat the world champ.
I thought they should be disbanded.
The man who won it for us still doesn't have Australian citizenship. So Quade Cooper playing his 71st test.
He's back, is he?
7 from 7, has a penalty after the siren from long range and manages to nail it to win 28-26. His first game in the green and gold in 4 years. Bold selection. Certainly pays off for Dave Rennie. Absolutely amazing. And when he was asked about, hopefully this helps his citizenship, he says, let's hope so, fingers crossed.
Let's hope so too. Let's go boxing. What a great sport. It's always
colourful, isn't it?
Colourful. So 58-year-old Evander Holyfield has made a comeback against a UFC fighter, Vitor Belfort. At least he's not an Instagram star. Now, that's my new favourite kind of fight. How did former world champion heavyweight Evander Holyfield at the age of 58 go?
Look, I think this one, Mickey, is best summed up by the expert commentary team who were put on to commentate this bout, and that included Donald Trump and his son, Don Jr. So this is how farcical we're talking. Basically, Evander Holyfield, 58 years old, 14 years older than his opponent, was technical knockout in the first round. He never should have been in the ring, according to most people watching the fight. And
he's
as 58. You say, first time in over a decade. So, look, a lot of people were very, very critical of this one, and it's hard to disagree with them.
58. The ringside doctor got into the ring at one stage to check his prostate. I mean, you can't be putting a 58-year-old... I'm guessing this has got the Nevada Boxing Commission written all over it, does it? I'm over this. And what was already a sport that, at its best, is one of the greatest sporting contests in the world, but you get it wrong and it drops off very quickly and becomes really sad. And the latest development is these intra-code fights and these Instagram influencers stepping into the ring against bona fide champions. Donald Trump.
Yes, and Don Jr.
Talking around it. I don't get it. Let's go to soccer. Let's go to soccer. And there was a momentous moment in world soccer over the weekend that didn't disappoint.
We spoke about it a couple of weeks ago, didn't we, Mickey? Cristiano Ronaldo leaving Juventus, heading back to Manchester United, and his second debut for Man U went beautifully. He scored a brace, 2 goals in the 4-1 win over Newcastle United. Basically, beautiful display of skill and speed, which was one of the main things of the goal. To know that he's just still got it. Plenty left to give in Man U in his second stint.
He didn't disappoint the legion of fans. He went to great lengths to watch it live, from live streaming to coalescing outside the ground to doing a huge moment. That didn't disappoint. Let's go to AFL NRL quickly, Nez. What's making news?
Some big news today, Mickey, and it's a win for the people. We love this.
Yes.
So basically the preliminary final for the Melbourne Storm, who'll face the winner of the Panthers and the Eels. It was originally scheduled for 7:50 on the same night as the AFL Grand Final was being played. The NRL and Peter V'landys have decided to move it to 4 p.m. They say they listened to the fans. We need more of that.
We do indeed. Brighton Marathon, are you across this one?
I do love this one, Mickey, because I don't know about you, but when I run a marathon, I want an extra 500 metres added onto the end.
What do you mean?
This is hilarious.
That's basically what happened in the Brighton Marathon. Once the runners had already started, organisers suddenly realised that they'd accidentally done 568 metres too far in the marathon, but it was too late to change it because they'd already started.
Now, I don't know what could piss off someone who runs a marathon more than, I don't know, adding an extra 560 metres.
Half a K.
And let's remember, that's usually the 560 metres when they're thunderbirding, like their body's about to shut down and collapse. They sometimes just get across the line.
Exactly.
Well, imagine telling those guys, oh, shit,
keep going.
sorry, you've got to go again.
It's a bit like Mickey when I found out that even though I landed at 5 a.m, that first day was considered a travel day and not day one of my hotel quarantine.
Oh, no.
No.
How are you?
I'm in Dubai, and this is day 48 overall of hard hotel quarantine in my life. So I'm almost brought up the half century. I'm thinking of a Dizzy Gillespie celebration, riding a horse through my hotel room when I bring it up.
I think you celebrated last year's birthday in that room. You might get to do it again.
My birthday's on Thursday, so I believe that the years don't count if you're in hard hotel quarantine lockdown.